Yes, hi guys, good evening. Hope you can hear me. And good afternoon to people on the other side of the globe. Hope you guys can hear me clearly and hope you guys are all doing well today. So let's get started. I am your speaker, Arvind Suryadev. Uh, Here at Learnsignal, we have already done the objective case study analysis. So let's have a look at it and hopefully you guys can ask me all your questions on the chat. Right now, we'll give it a minute before we start. I think people are still joining. Right, I guess we can get started. Yeah, so welcome again, guys. My name is Arvind Suryadev. If you guys didn't catch that at the beginning, I hope you guys can hear me clearly and I hope there isn't too much background noise. I think my AC is a little loud. Yeah, now, anyway, uh, let's get into it. Let's talk about the objective case study. This case study this time is about a company called Sumtrix. Yeah, some of you may have already seen this. Now, for the ones who have already looked at it, you may have done your own analysis. You guys can compare that to the analysis that we have here. For the ones who have not looked at it yet, well, here you go. This should be the best thing for you guys right now. So let's get into it. Now, what do we know about your role in Sumtrix? Now, before we get started on the slides itself, let me give you a simple introduction about the company in question. It's a company called Sumtrix. It's a name derived from Summit Tricks. Yeah. The idea is that they sell skis for ski boarding, right? And they sell these skis. It was founded by three original founders, as in these people three friends who were into skiing, who shared the same enthusiasm for skiing. They got into, well, this business and started a company called Sumtrix. Now, this company has grown a bit. Yeah, it's not exactly a very nascent company, but yes, we will talk about all of that. in this analysis here. Now, what do we know about your role in Sumtrix? Who are we in this scenario is the first thing. Let's talk about that. So our role, yeah, is that we are the finance officer in the finance department, in the Sumtrix finance department. So what do we do as part of our role? Management accounting information for decision making. So you can expect a bit of your E1, yeah, sorry, not just E1, I would say also P1. Yeah, P1 is management accounting. So you will see a bit of your management accounting topics right there. And then we have the another responsibility that the finance officer has, that is assisting in financial statements and reporting queries. So yes, you will be seeing financial reporting. Yeah, that is F1, right? And moving on from there, there are other responsibilities too, and that would be, well, providing financial analysis for managers across departments. So a bit of financial analysis that you would have to do, right? A bit of financial reporting. So touching base on all of the topics that come up in the OCS level. Yeah. Now, let's get into a bit more about Sumtrix. Yeah, what do we know about Sumtrix from the pre-seed material? I think the pre-seed material came out, what, 3 days ago? Yeah. So for all of you who have looked at it, yeah, well and good. For the ones who have not seen it, well, let this be a good introduction. So this was founded in 2015 by three ski enthusiasts. As mentioned, they're three friends who shared the same passion. Elena, Felix, and Julian. Yeah, the full names are given, not necessary, of course. Manufactures freestyle and touring skis. So they have different styles of skis that they make. They are predominantly all about the freestyle skiing, at least the three friends are, but they also make touring skis. Now also sells custom skis and accessories. Now, moving on from there, they're based in Reland, yeah, Northern Europe. Now, there is a strong ski culture there. Yeah, I believe Reland is a fictional country, right? Now, anyway, my geography is not the best, right? So still owned by the three original founders. That is a key aspect in this company, which may be important, especially when you talk about financial reporting or the aspects of, say, agency theory and corporate governance and such. Now, moving on from there, company information. Some operations key overview that has been given to us. They do have a production facility. Yeah, they operate a dedicated manufacturing site. This is what they predominantly do. They manufacture skis. So they have a dedicated manufacturing site in this place called Gorney Grayton. Yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So they have structured this into four key production departments to ensure efficient workflow. So they have a structured or a more organized way of working. Yeah, it's essentially producing the skis, right? Now that's the production facility. What is the specialty of their product? They have handmade skis, and these are made in batches. Now the company produces freestyling, touring, and custom skis in carefully crafted, yeah, batches of 50 pairs, maintaining high quality. So this is one of the USPs, you could say, of the product that they're selling. Yeah. Moving on from there, support functions, right? Production is supported by departments such as goods inwards, goods outwards, facilities, maintenance, ensuring smooth and continuous operations. Now here we are introduced to the different support functions, support departments that are there in the business. This may be useful for well, further talk about, what adds value and what doesn't add value and such things. Now, moving on from there, the workforce strength also. Sumtrix employs 125 staff members, with 82 working directly in production, highlighting the company's reliance on skilled labor for its handmade skis. Now, that bit may be covered by my video dialog box, but yeah, that's what it says over there. So, skilled labor, yes, that's what they're known for because of the quality of their handmade skis. So, this is something of a USP for the company. This definitely should not be, should not be overlooked. Yeah. Now, moving on from there, let's talk about, well, the company a bit more about it. Let's talk about the management structure of the company. So this helps us to understand what the key leadership is like. Yeah. And as a finance officer, it is very important that you know the company's financial leadership, or not just financial leadership, general leadership. So who's the managing director? It's Julian Fisher, one of the three original founders. Yes. The product development director is the other friend, Felix Schmidt. Then production director is Diego Santos. I believe he's hired. Yeah. Sales and marketing director, Elena Ricci. Yeah. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Ricci, right? Now, she is also one of the three original founders. Then human resources director is Ansu Chen. And we have the finance director, Marcus Green, right? Now, these are the people behind the management at Sumtrix. Yeah. Now, full animation there. Yeah. So company information. Let's talk about the company. What do we know about this company? Now, we do know that the company has sales predominantly via its website and its retailers. Actually, not via its website, predominantly through its retailers, and, well, a good part through its website also. So 39% from its website 61% from its retailers. Now, the website uses AI to guide customers on ski choice. Yeah, so if you are a first time skier, or if you're a newbie to the whole aspect of skiing, like I am, yeah, I do skateboard, but I don't know skiing, right? So if you got into that, yeah, what kind of equipment do you need? You could ask the AI to guide you on that, which reminds me that we do have a small AI presentation at the end, our own Learnsignal's AI that you guys should be looking into. Quite the useful tool when you're preparing for your exam. Now, this AI though helps you choose your skis, not prepare for your exam. Now, website uses AI to guide customers on the ski choice, and then retailers receive product training to represent brand values. So this is how the company stands ahead of its competition, you could say. Yeah. And what else? Well, promotions and discounts are offered, especially online. So there is a promotion of the direct to D2C way of selling, that is direct to the customer through the website. Yeah. Now, what else? Influencers promote some trick skis on social media. Think GoPro, guys. There are so many brands nowadays that are promoted by influencers, predominantly by influencers. This is how they do their what do you call it? How they do their marketing. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about with respect to some tricks here. So influencer marketing. This is a real world thing. Yes. Freestyle skis remain majority sales. Touring skis are growing in demand slowly, just like longboards in skateboarding, I believe. Right, a new trend that is coming about now. Exploring expansion into North America. At the moment, they're only based in Reland in the European continent. Right, now, moving on from there, company information. Yes, what do we know about this company? So, distribution key overview. Let's talk about the distribution capabilities or the distribution setup of this company. See, website provides immersive shopping experience. I would believe so, with the AI and all of that included. So direct to customer sales across Europe. Yeah, they have a D2C through the website. This is what we were talking about earlier. Some accessories are specifically sold only via the website, like helmets, goggles, gloves, and poles. Yeah, the things that they use to just ski down the mountains, right? Now, some of these things are only offered through the website. This is very reminiscent of some real world brands. They also offer their things only through their websites, not through their retailers. Yeah. Then freestyling and touring skis both sold online and through retailers. So the main product, that is the skis, or those are the skis, those are sold both online and through the retailers. Retailers include specialist ski shops, because after all, this is a very special hobby. Yeah, it is a very enthusiasm involved specialist hobby, right? So they have specialist ski shops, they have gear stores, rentals, and chains. Sounds very reminiscent of anything that is involved with adventure sports or any kind of adventure sports branch. Right now, payment terms, yeah, 30 to 60 days for retailers. This is the credit period given to retailers. This may be relevant if we are talking about any kind of working capital management. This would be the receivable days of some tricks. Then no retail distribution outside Europe yet. So they haven't explored further outside Europe yet as far as the retail distribution goes. The website does, yeah. But even then, it's direct sales to customers in Europe. So maybe that's somewhere further questions may explore. Yeah. Now, moving on from there, guys, further company information. Let's look at the finance part of it. So the first, in the timeline here, you guys can see the revenue and gross margin. Yeah, in 2025, Sumtrix generated real and dollars, of 14.1 million in revenue in 2025, with a healthy gross margin of 39.7%, reflecting strong product positioning. So that's a very good number. Now, I'm not able to compare that to other numbers yet, but it looks good. That is, yes, mentioned as healthy. Now, profitability wise, yes, the profit before tax are real in dollars, 810,000, giving a margin of 5.7%. This would be your operating margin, yeah, which shows modest profitability in a competitive environment. Now, the environment is supposed to be very competitive. Yes, I would assume that it is a very niche market also. Yeah. So in this niche market, right, excuse me, in this niche market, they seem to have moderate profitability. Now, 5.7% after the gross profit margin being 39.7%. Basically, in my books, that's not looking too good. But again, we need to know more about the industry to make a comment on that. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, what happened next, or what should be noted? Well, cash and equity position, if you notice that, the year ended with a cash balance of real in dollars 290,000 and equity of 4.7 million real in dollars, highlighting a stable base with limited liquidity. So there is some liquidity, some cash balances there to pay off any kind of current liabilities that come up. and generally there is a strong equity base. So we are not completely geared, or the financial leverage is not too bad. Yeah. Now, moving on from there, let's talk about the 2026 budget. That's the budget for the next year. They're forecasting a revenue of 15 million trillion dollars, which is about 900,000 higher than last year's revenue, and with an improved gross margin of 41.3%. So from 39.7%, they want to drive up the gross margin to 41.3%, indicating growth expectations, and efficiency gains. That's all well and good. But yeah, the fact that operating margin is much lower, or there is a big gap between the gross margin and the operating margin, kind of worries me. You guys can let me know what you think on the chat. Yeah. Now, moving on from there, finance, further key takeaways. So, seasonal cash flow management. See, the finance team must plan and manage cash flows carefully to cope with the high seasonality of the ski industry. Absolutely. Skiing is something based on the weather. Yeah. So, the weather has to be great for you to be out skiing. So, definitely, this becomes a seasonal business. You don't see people buying skis in the summer, or you will see sales discounts and such. Yeah, going on skis during the summer. Now, product level profitability analysis would be quite important. Accurate costing and profitability analysis for each ski model is essential to guide pricing, margin, and production decisions. Yes, absolutely. So you will have to do some individual product analysis, like what contribution is it giving you. If there is a limiting factor, you may have to link it to the limiting factor. So there is grounds, or there is scope for a lot of questions to come up from these certain areas. Then moving on from there, what else do we know about this company? The strategic support for growth. So finance should provide insights to support strategic initiatives, particularly the expansion of the touring ski range and entry into new markets. So I believe they have a touring ski range. I had also read about it a couple of days back. So anyway, in that particular, so they should be promoting this, because touring skis seem to be a new trend that is catching on, even though they predominantly sell freestyle skis. As is with any company, guys, you have to have some level of innovation to be relevant in the future. Otherwise, you run out of ideas, the company runs out of steam, and well, that's how a company dies. So you don't want that. Yeah, I'm sure some tricks also doesn't want that. So they may want to look at strategic support for growth, strategic ideas, strategic innovation. Yeah, looking into new ideas, new markets, and such. Right now, moving on from there, further company information. Let's talk about the human resources aspect of it. Now, a company, especially this particular company, right, produces handmade skis. So the human resources there, the skilled labor, is going to be quite important. And I believe out of some 125 employees, 85 employees are well skilled laborers. So then, in such a company, then human resources would be a very key aspect. So we're not operating in a machine-intensive environment. We're operating in more of a labor hour intensive environment. So the HR director, Ansu Chen, experienced from larger ski brands. That's good. Now, the workforce itself, we have 125 staff across production, warehouses, the headquarters, yeah, pretty much everything, right? So total strength of 125. Not a very big company, as you guys can tell. Provides training to retail partners on some tricks products. So we do give a sort of training to our retail partners, like any of these sports stores where the products are exhibited. We tell them how to maybe explain to the customers, yeah, what is the product all about, what makes the product special, and why is this product possibly better than other competitors on the market. Then recruitment is aligned with technical and creative skills, design and engineering. So this seems very reminiscent of the founders of this company, right? So they're also all about the creative flair and the technical flair. So recruitment is aligned with technical and creative skills, very reminiscent or very important for a company like Sumtrix. Absolutely. Then HR supports brand values of sustainability and innovation. Yes, sustainability is something that is quite well valued nowadays. So yeah, HR supporting these brand values, which are also there in the mission statement. Well and good. Then employee induction, manual educates staff on skis, parts, and processes. Yes, you would need this. If you were an engineer, or if you were a sales guy joining this company, Sumtrix, you would still need some kind of guidance on what the company sells, what we produce here, what kind of parts do we have, what are the processes that our products go through, what makes our product different from the competitors' products. So all of this would be quite the interesting things to look through in the employee induction manual. Of course, I don't think we'll be provided a copy of that, but yes, this is how HR is supposed to be done. There may be some gaps here, so you guys may have to look into that. You can expect questions from that. Performance management or management accounting, which leads into performance management. revolves around getting people to do things that you want them to do in the most efficient way, right? Now, moving on from there, let's talk about the industry itself. Now, the skiing industry, what's happening here? So, the global ski equipment market is 1.7 million, sorry, 79 billion, yeah, real in dollars in 2024. That's 3.7 percentage growth from whatever it was in 2023. Now, Europe has a $0.5 billion real in dollar, yeah, market. So some tricks has a 2.8% share of it, which is not a very big share, as you guys can see. The European market is quite big compared to the global market. It's almost one fourth. It's actually more than one fourth of the global market. Then the market is dominated by five large brands who share 75%. So some tricks is nowhere near them. Some tricks will have to grow, or there is a lot of room for growth. So growth drivers here, some things align with what some tricks also stands for. For example, sustainability and innovation. It is a fitness or lifestyle thing, and yes, that's where the demand is created. It's a lifestyle demand. It's not exactly a necessity to own a pair of skis, but it's definitely nice to own a pair of skis, right? Now, moving on from there, the risks that we see here, of course, climate change is a big risk. We've all seen how ice caps have been melting, how climate change has affected. I'm sitting here in supposedly a cold city with my air conditioner on. So yeah, that is the effect and the costs, yeah, of climate change, as we know. So industries that focus on products that sell in such or that are influenced by climate change, they may see some turbulence in their sales, and this is what some tricks may need to be worried about. Shorter seasons, shorter winter seasons, creating the situation that people can't go skiing all the time. So lesser amount of people skiing, lesser time available to ski. Dependency on snow is a big problem. You can't just go to the snow world amusement park or whatever they call it and then go skiing. It doesn't work like that. So there are problems like that. Yeah, if you own a pair of skis, we're talking about a company that sells skis. That's the problem. Now, on-day retailers plus influencers shaping buying behavior. Yes, influencer marketing is something very important nowadays. We see most of our ads on Instagram. Yeah, so even if you're a subscriber to YouTube, or even if you're a subscriber to most of your streaming services and you've kept the ads away, the average human being is supposed to see 14 ads or 14 to 30 ads per day. Yeah. So even if you have all your ad blockers and everything on, you'll still be seeing ads. And some of these ads will be through your favorite influencers. Yeah. So yes, influencers are shaping buying behavior. This could be one of the reasons why the touring skis are picking up as compared to the freestyle skis. That moving on from there, let's talk about the touring ski market growth. So touring skiing, yeah, is a growing trend. It's off-piste, it's nature-focused, yeah, and it's lightweight, strong skis demanded for uphill and downhill balance. Absolutely. So you need lightweight, you need very strong skis, which need good uphill and good downhill balance. It's not about doing stunts or doing freestyle stuff. It's more about covering more ground, touring. Yeah. So require safety gear and avalanche training. Yeah. So for the people who are going to do this, they need training regarding how to use their gear. This is essentially like parasailing or paragliding. If you guys have ever tried your hand at it, you will need proper training. Avalanche training is nothing but avalanche is the snow coming down. You don't want to be trapped under that when you're exploring the mountains on your touring skis. Yeah. Now, this is seen as adventurous, unique, and appealing to new demographics. Yes, not everybody may be into freestyling. Yeah. See, not everybody does a wheelie when they get a new motorcycle or when they get a bicycle, right? So some of us just want to ride around. Yeah. So there is, yes, some appeal to touring skiing also, and that's what we see here. Then Paris skiing, yeah, Paris skiing interview. Paris skiing uses adaptive equipment. So mono skis, bi skis, outriggers. These are all different types of equipment that the idea of Paris skiing uses. So customization essential for safety and performance. Yeah, this is where custom skis would come into play. Something that some tricks actually does offer. Equipment is more often expensive because it's custom made, yeah, tailored to individual needs. Paris skiing inspires inclusivity, freedom, and rehabilitation. So Paris skiing is essentially for people who are not able to, well, who are specially abled. Yeah. So for specially able people, we have Paris skiing, and adaptive equipment is there. So mono skis are where you just have one ski or bi skis. Particular designs that help people with, I wouldn't say disabilities, special abilities to also enjoy the art of skiing. So it inspires inclusivity. It does give freedom. Rehabilitation is good rehabilitation, especially for people trying to heal after like a big trauma or a big accident. Yeah. Physiotherapy, a form of physiotherapy. That's what this could be. Now, Moving on from there, the exam format itself. Most of you may already know this, so I won't spend too much time here. So, 4 scenarios for 45 minutes each. The total exam time would be 3 hours. Each task will have its own unseen information. So, remember, guys, the pre-seen material is always only setting the stage. What can be questioned and what cannot be questioned, right? We can only predict that if we go look at the question paper itself. So, each task will have its own unseen information. Please be wary of that. Tasks are based on the I can statements. Please go through your I can statements. Then integration is key between pre-seen, unseen, and even between tasks. So yeah, that is the most important advice I would give you guys. Don't just rely on your pre-seen. The unseen information is also going to be very important. Yeah, and even between the tasks that are questioned, there will be some relation to the tasks also because we're talking about a company-based scenario here. Yeah. Moving on from there, let's talk about the key themes possible scenario variance could be based on. So from the P1 theory, P1 would be your management accounting. You will see absorption costing, one of the basic costing techniques. We will talk about costing for digital products. Again, some more costing techniques and certain considerations that you may want to give for digital products. Then variance analysis, one of my favorite things. You will compare the budget to the actual. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, this is your call to start learning. Approaches to budgeting, different styles of budgeting from zero-based budgeting to incremental to rolling budgets. All of these things, yes, they come under your P1 theory. This could be important and relevant to the case study that we just saw. Linear programming is quite interesting, quite useful when you are doing a limiting factor analysis, especially when you have multiple limiting factors. Dealing with uncertainty, the methods of sensitivity analysis and expected values and maximin, maximax, all of those would become quite important. Now, E1 theory, what about your enterprise subject? This would be managing finance in the digital world, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, they all have these cool names now, right? Now, anyway, so the role of the finance function would be quite well explored here. Emerging technologies, because here we're talking about a digital world. KPIs, these are key performance indicators for operations, marketing and sales, HR and IT. So we'll be talking about all this, or you need to be talking about all this because these would be the possible scenario based themes that you can see, or the questions you can see would be from these certain areas. Now, what about F1 theory? This is your financial reporting paper. So we will see the IFRS standards at play here. The most basic standards would be tested at the OCS level. We have IAS 16, property, plant and equipment. Watch out for initial recognition and subsequent measurement. As with any standard, IAS 36 also relates to assets. It's impairment of assets. IFRS 5, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations actually. Now, IAS 10 would be events after the reporting period. Now, IAS 10 events after the reporting period talks about, well, events that may need adjustment or not need adjustment depending on when they occur, not when they occur, depending on whether there was any evidence of their existence at the reporting date, at the date of reporting. Yeah. So this is what IAS 10 talks about. Quite an important standard, quite an easy standard. Please make sure you go through these very simple standards. Then accounts receivables management, which would be a part of your working capital management. You will see a bit of receivable days, receivables collection period, and then your credit policy is coming into question. So yes, watch out for things like that. Now, moving on from there, excuse me, market challenges. Strong competition from 5 global brands. That is very scenario specific. Yes, 75% of the market is held by these 5 global brands. So that would be something that we will have to look into. Climate change is, well, causing shorter ski seasons. We already talked about it. This seems to be a market challenge, most definitely. Skiing seen as luxury, limited by disposable income. Well, absolutely. Not everybody goes skiing. Yeah, just like how a lot of hobbies are not really accessible to everybody. Why? Because it involves very expensive equipment, it involves expensive holidays and whatnot. Yeah, this is a market challenge for a company selling skis because if they were to expand outside of Europe, one of the things that they consider if they were to go global, how many places can they sell their skis at? And what else can some tricks sell? Should it be only skis? Should it be only focusing on touring skis and freestyle skis? Is there something else they could diversify into? A lot more information could lead to a lot more scenarios. Yeah. Then moving on from there, operational issues. Production is labor intensive, limiting scalability. Yes, because it's handmade skis that they're selling. Seasonal sales patterns is equal to the working capital strain. Yeah. Absolutely. So working capital would be strained in times of very heavy sales. You'll see very high receivables. You'll see high payables because we'll have to get a lot of inventory than usual. You'll see a lot of inventory balances also because inventory need to be maintained during the season time. You don't want to stock out. But during the non-season time or non-season period, yeah, at that time working capital may be more relaxed. So such companies we will have to focus on working capital management a certain way. Yeah. So that would be a topic of discussion. Then reliance on imported raw materials, yes, could be a problem. In today's world, I think that's very relevant to talk about because if you're in the US, you'll be hit with a tariff. Yeah. So there you go. If you were importing something from China or North America as raw materials for your luxury skis, yeah, that could be a problem. Then moving on, growth opportunities there, of course, expansion into North America. There is a larger ski market there. Rising demand for touring skis, and we do make touring skis, so that could be a good thing. Use of new technology like AI in sales, which is already employed on the Sumtrix website. 3D printing, yeah, and using sustainable materials. So these they seem to be on the forefront of innovation, or at least this is what they need to do to grow in this said industry. Moving on. So company tracks Europe V1. Check this out, guys. Designed to test. Yeah, these are all the older case studies. Yeah. So here challenges in both the estimated useful life and residual value of machine one and two. Yeah. The tasks were principles of short-term decision making, the financial and non-financial factors to be considered in deciding the financing methods. We have the core activity also mentioned, apply relevant financial reporting standards, where it was all about figuring out the residual value. That's just depreciation if you think of it, and corporate governance and ethical tax principles, because uh, directors try to show depreciation at the lowest level possible by not replacing machines and whatnot. Why do they do this? So that profits can be higher, your depreciation charge is lower. Yeah, so that is not very ethical. Yeah, so that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, you will have to discuss all of that. Apply the relevant standards and your knowledge about ethical principles there. Then principles of short-term decision making. Prepare information to support short-term decision making. That's the core activity related to that. Prepare information to manage working capital would be related to financial and non-financial factors to be considered in deciding the financing methods. Why? Well, financing methods would definitely be there is a strategy in how you fund your fluctuating current assets and your permanent current assets. You guys may know about it. There is an aggressive strategy and there is a moderate strategy and there is a risk averse strategy also, a conservative strategy. So please make sure you know about all of them. The second task, the difference between incremental budgeting and beyond budgeting. So it talks about the different types of budgets. So prepare budget information and assess its use for planning and control purposes. That was the core activity that was tested. So if you go through all your core activities and you know what they're talking about, then yes, you're quite well prepared. That's good. Yeah. Now, how budgeting for and control of our tractor delivery costs could be improved by using big data analytics. Again, preparing budget information and assessing its use for planning and control purposes. That is the core activity that is tested there. How the new system would reduce the risks of non-payment of accounts receivable. Yeah, a bit of financial management, a bit of financial reporting on the lines. F1 is what they're talking about. Yeah, prepare information to manage working capital. There you go. Then what each of the variances in table 1 means and their possible reasons for occurrence. So in this particular case study, there were variances given and such. That was task 3. The core activity that they're testing is how you analyze performance using financial and non-financial information, using KPIs to be able to analyze the performance of an organization. Then suggestion of 2 key performance indicators, analyze performance using financial and non-financial information once again. The role of a non-executive director, including the reasons why they need to be independent. This is a bit of corporate governance, guys. Again, financial reporting, apply relevant financial reporting standards and corporate governance and ethical and tax principles. Task 4 is issues with cost plus pricing. So different costing techniques, management accounting, that would be from P1. Yeah. So prepare costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of management. And 3 factors other than cost that will affect the price we are able to charge. Well, prepare costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of management. Once again, same core activity. Yeah, as the question earlier, the part of the task earlier. Then whether each of the costs in table 3 is relevant or not to the decision regarding the acceptance of the offer from the TV production company. So this would be more about an analysis and then making short-term decisions. So prepare information to support short-term decision making. That was the core activity tested there. So you can see a bit of all the core activities being tested from this said case study. Yeah. Now there was a version 2 of this also. Yeah. So designed to test in this, the first task was costing the remote drive tractor app. That was the case study there. was different from costing the additional components of the remote drive tractor. So again, this is well preparing costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of the management. A core tested area, guys. Make sure you know how to do that. Make sure you know some costing techniques and how to explain these costing techniques. Of course, you have objective type questions, so you need to know them inside out to be able to go with the right option. Then explanation of the difficulties of budgeting for and controlling the costs of proposed software development team in the first year. So I think they had a software development problem. Yeah, they had to put together a team. So the core activity once again would be costing information preparation for different purposes, management purposes, right? Factors to consider when deciding which of the three methods of providing short-term finance. Again, it's preparing information, but this time to manage working capital that would be relevant in that particular task. If you go through the previous case study, you guys would see this. Then task two, explanation of what they can analysis and what it indicates. Yeah, about the usefulness of the data for planning purpose. You have prepared budget information and assess its use for planning and control purposes. Yes. Now, what else do we have here? Explanation of the benefits and limitations of using big data in planning IT specialist salaries. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Uh, yes. One second, guys. Have I? One second. Just a second. Hold on for 1 second, guys. I think there has been a mistake on the link I joined. I'm not very sure. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, continuing on. Yeah, I think there was a technical issue, but that should be sorted now. So continuing on, guys. Yes. So we were talking about the explanation and benefits of using big data in planning IT specialist salaries. So prepare budget information and assess its use for planning and control purposes. So explanation of the benefits and limitations of using big data in planning IT specialist salaries. Yeah, prepare the budget information, assets its used for planning and control purposes. Explanation of the difference between how cash flow from operating activities is calculated using both indirect and direct methods. Apply relevant financial reporting standards and corporate governance and ethical tax principles. So once again, yes, we see a lot of corporate governance, a lot of financial reporting standards being questioned. Yeah, and ethical principles. Now, task three, suggestions of two KPIs that measured app performance and two KPIs that uh, two KPIs that measured app engagement, right? An analysis. So the core activity here is analyze performance using financial and non-financial information. Then explanation of what each of the variances, yes, how sorry, of what each of the variances in table one meant, giving reasons why variances may have risen. Yeah, why the variances have gone up. Yeah, again, very reminiscent of usual questions that are asked. So analyze performance using financial and non-financial information. Then explanation of how variance analysis could have been modified to give more relevant information for the month. Analyze performance using financial and non-financial information. Yeah. Task four was explanation of the amount at which the tractor would be included in the financial statement. So this was valuation essentially. So financial reporting standards, the application of that, and corporate governance, ethical and tax principles. Once again, ethical application of your financial standards. That is what would be relevant. Then explanation of which size of demonstration fleet each of three members of the SMT would choose. Yeah. Prepare information to support short-term decision making. We already saw this core activity being tested in the earlier V1 version 1. Then explanation of the limitations in the information analysis in table 2 and the factors to consider when evaluating whether to pay the fee to ticket agency to gain information about the number of tickets sold. Prepare information to support short-term decision making. Then moving on from there, we do have the third version of this. So here in the third version, this was designed to test different tasks. Now the first task that was tested for, right? We have two more versions, I believe. No, five, six versions. Six versions we have. I'll take you through this quite quickly. Yeah, because you guys will see that the areas are more or less the core activities are the same. It's just that there are different tasks being questioned. So such an analysis helps you to understand, what may be expected tasks and what may be the expected core areas that would be tested. And of course, all the core areas would be tested ultimately. So Version 3, how the different purposes of budgeting may be positively or negatively affected by allowing the sales team to participate in budget setting. Explanation of the ethical aspects of budgetary control. Again, the core activities that are being tested here is preparing budget information and assessing its use for planning and control purposes. Task 2 was about testing core activities D and E. And what is this task? Well, legal status and taxation issues. That's what they questioned. How the lease liability and right of use asset for the transport and lease should be measured initially in our financial statements. Another area that could be tested, yeah, how the maximax, and minimax regret decision criteria, yeah, minimize your maximum regret, would be used to select the marketing mix. So once again, preparing information to support decision making, yeah, core activity that we had seen earlier. Then task 3, difference in how profit is calculated using both marginal and absorption costing. Prepare costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of the management. Why the current system of absorption costing may be of little use for short-term decision making. Well, prepare costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of the management. Suggestion of 4 KPIs which could be used to monitor the performance of each member of the sales team. Analyze performance using financial and non-financial information. What the variances in table 1 told about sales in settlement. Yeah, that was the imaginary country in that question. Giving possible reasons why the sales variances had occurred. Again, testing, analyzing performance using financial and non-financial indicators or information. Explanation of the 3 different techniques which the settlement sales team could use to collect outstanding accounts receivable. So knowledge of working capital management is going to be tested there. How the decision tree should be interpreted, preparing information for short-term decision making. Now, there are more versions to this, guys. So once again, a quick run through this. There was a chart that was given. The explanation of the chart was what was questioned there. This chart was all about budgetary information with some controls and such mentioned. Yeah. So preparing budget information and assessing its use for planning and control purposes. That was the key area. That was the core area that was tested. Excuse me. Then explaining the validity of a forecast of sales volume. You guys can see it's all related to budgetary, budgetary activities in the first task, right? And of course, there is one more core activity that is working capital management, which is actually a part of making proper budgets, of course. So impact on management of receivables by the sales and credit control team was something that was seen in task 1. Then task 2 was possibly designed to test suitability of the new e-track production facility as a pilot for an activity-based costing ABC approach. Again, we saw costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of the management. This was core activity A, and we see that tested again with the benefits of the e-track production facility by using a digital costing system. So you can see some of the relevance of your P1 and E1 topics. Yeah. Now, how the right of use asset would be initially recorded and subsequently measured in the financial statement. Something else tested in task 2. It is about the core activity of applying relevant financial reporting standards and the set principles, that is your corporate governance principles, ethical and tax principles. Then task 3, what each of the variances shown in table 1 meant and possible reasons for their occurrence. Yeah. Again, these the core activities tested with that was analyzing performance using financial and non-financial information. So the benefits of e-track production facility, and task 4 was about how to determine based on a given graph how many GPXs the company might consider. Again, it tests your area E, prepare information for short-term decision making. Other than that, the same task also had talk about how to account for damaged products, damaged equipment. So applying the relevant financial standards, IAS 2 or even valuation of PPE, impairment, right, would be relevant there. Then explanation of your maximax, maximin, and minimax. We already talked about them. This is with regards to core activity E, that is prepare information to support short-term decision making. Now we have version 5 and we also have version 6. So let me quickly take you through these two. I think we have the time for that, right? So what each of the variances in table 1 meant, yes, again, it was about analyzing the performance using financial and non-financial information. Whether it was appropriate to hold the main assembly manager in the question responsible for fixed production overheads. Well, this would be a deeper analysis of your variance analysis itself. You guys may have heard of planning and operational variances. Preparing budget information and assessing its use for planning and control purposes, that is the area that would be tested. And once again, tested in the third part of task 1. You can see potential benefits of adopting a rolling budget. And if you don't know what a rolling budget is, well, time to get to your studies. Right. Then task 2, how an ABC approach, that is activity-based approach, differ to the current costing approach. So comparing costing techniques, prepare costing information for different purposes to meet the needs of the management. That's the core activity there. Suggestion of 3 KPIs would be related to performance measurement using non-financial and analyzing performance, performance analysis using financial and non-financial information. Task 3 was about how expenditure associated with new equipment would be initially recorded in the financial statements, and explanation of the decision tree and how it could be to decide, right, uh, which contract to choose, right, and approach to working capital management. Now, again, the areas tested here were D, E, and F. D was with regards to your financial reporting standards. F was preparing information for short-term decision making. For managing working capital. E was with respect to short-term decision making, information for short-term decision making. Now, how the testing equipment would be reflected in the financial statements for the year ending 31st December 23. That was a question in the task there. And what chart 1 indicated about the original budget for the A++ power range of tractors, some kind of product line. 3 benefits of the business using a beyond budgeting approach. So again, once again, we see different areas being tested. Apply relevant financial reporting standards and corporate governance, ethical and tax principles. Now, this is all stuff that we have seen, very relevant areas. Do not miss out on these core activities, guys. Preparing information to support short-term decision making. That's what that question would have tested. And finally, preparing budget information that is useful for planning and control purposes is what the last part would have tested. Knowing your different budgeting approaches beyond budgeting and such. Then, moving on from there, V6, this was designed to test. Yes, the task 1 was designed to test the full cost per download of the Tractor Pal app and the difficulties of doing so. So again, costing information for management needs. How relevant costing would be applied would be short-term decision making. Task 2 was sensitivity information, shown in table 2, and why levels of sensitivity differ. So sensitivity comes under management of uncertainty, a bit of management accounting there. So preparing budget information and assessing its use for planning and control purposes, variances and whatnot, and then sensitivity. Now, explanation of 3 KPIs that could be included on a digital marketing dashboard. Analyze performance using financial and non-financial information. Now, adjustments that would need to be made to ensure compliance with transfer pricing regulations. Apply relevant financial reporting standards and corporate governance, ethical and tax principles. Core activity that we saw. That's almost all the same. Now, anyway, task 3 is ZBB. I hope you guys know what that is. Zero-based budgeting. And how this would be applied to create a budget for agriculture shows. Zero-based budgeting is quite interesting. It's one of my most favorite budgeting techniques. Quite time-consuming, but if you do it right, it is helpful to create the best budget out there, especially if you want a budget that only looks at things that add value and such. Right now, prepare budget information and assess its use for planning and control purposes. Core activity B is what is tested once again, with challenges of using a ZBB approach to determine the budget. There are some challenges with that, of course. Then, inventory ordering approaches of the sales offices. So the way they order inventory and what should be the ideal way. Can be some talk about EOQ, the reorder level, buffer inventory. So preparing information to manage working capital, that's the area where all of these topics come up. Task 4, what the sales variance in table 1. We don't have the table here, but you guys may know this, and possible reasons why they had gone up or risen. Now, analyzing performance using financial and non-financial information, that was the core activity there. Explanation of 2 alternative ways in which the lease of the laptop could be reflected in the financial statement. Again, applying the core activity of, your corporate financial reporting standards and corporate governance and ethical and tax principles. And finally, having a risk neutral and risk averse attitude would impact on the SMT's willingness to pay for the perfect information. Now, this was something that we saw in P1 under management accounting, the value of information, value of perfect and imperfect information. So here they're asking about perfect information. So information that supports decision making. That's the topic this comes under. So again, such an analysis, yes, would help you guys go a long way. This is what our mock writers do. They review previous CIMA question papers to ensure that these mocks reflect actual questions that can be posed in the exam. So we have different versions like this. We have different versions of the current pre-scene also. So we have a kit applying all the I can statements to the pre-scene. So our AI also, which I will introduce to you guys in just a minute. ensures you have all the answers that you need on any paper. Yeah, you can ask the AI itself. You don't have to wait for our tutors to reach out to you. So all of this is available only to the people with our premium subscription. So for the subscription and for all those details, please reach out to info@Learnsignal. Yeah, we do already have 350 plus CIMA students studying with us, right? And generally, we always have a floating number of 350 plus students all the time. And we've been nominated for the CIMA Digital Transformation Award. So yeah, that's a big step, right? And so join us on this beautiful journey, right? Now, before we wind up, yeah, let me show you guys AI I was talking about, right? So our AI that will help you guys learn faster. So my screen. Right, if you guys can see my screen, this is the Learnsignal platform. Now, I have the ACCA dashboard here because I'm predominantly an ACCA teacher. I'm also CIMA qualified. I do teach CIMA, right? Not so much, once in a while. Yeah. So I'm predominantly an ACCA teacher. That's why you see my ACCA dashboard. Please ignore that. But you can see Harmony over here. Yeah. So you can ask Harmony questions, right? Once you have access to our platform. Yeah. You can see some of the questions that I've already tested with Harmony over here. So let me ask Harmony a question. I have a question over here. This was basically a question that was there. It's a multiple choice question that I have. Yeah. So let me just put that over here and we can see if the AI is good or not. Now, remember, guys, this is not any kind of a pre-fed question. Yeah. So this is essentially the AI showing you, yeah, or the AI learning from the question and then calculating the numbers, just like me and you, right? So let's check it out, right? The question I have here is extracts from company C's accounts are as follows. I've put down the turnover of, if you guys can see my question, 200 million turnover, right? Okay, give the AI a second, I guess. Yeah, and I'll show you guys what's happening. So yeah, 200 million turnover, operating profit is 50 million, interest payable is 10 million, profit before tax then would be 40 million, profit after tax is 20 million. So what is company Z's or Z's interest cover? Tell me which of the following options is correct and which are wrong with explanation. Yeah, 20 times is the interest cover, 5 times, 4 times, and 2 times. Now, for anybody who does not know the interest cover, you take profit before interest and tax and divide it with the interest to know what is the interest cover. Here, profit for interest and tax is 50 million, that is operating profit, PBIT, divided by the interest payable of 10 million. Here, that's 5 times the cover. So let's see if the AI also got the right answer. So if I go through it, yeah, or if we go through it, you can see the formula itself mentioned. We had asked for an explanation. So you can see the AI has calculated it. The explanation seems pretty spot on. Yeah. Evaluating the options, 20 times is wrong. This is much higher than the calculated value. 5 is the right calculated value. 4 does not match the calculation. 2 is too low compared to the calculation. Therefore, the correct answer for company Z is 5 times. Here, it's quite a simple question, guys. Now, what if you had, so when you're learning, yeah, this can be quite helpful when you're learning. What if you had a simple question like, what is WAC? Yeah. Or, right, what is WAC? Or what is the, yeah, not or, what is the ideal, yeah, blend of debt and equity in a company? Let's see what the AI will tell us regarding questions. Yeah, this is just a question I made up right now. Partly it's a simple question, what is WAC? The second part is not exactly very simple because there are multiple theories to this. Yeah, and this can be open to interpretation. So you guys can see how, yes, WAC is talking about, yeah, I mean, how the AI is talking about WAC and, you know, the advantages of using debt and the advantages of using equity. So yes, when you guys use Harmony AI, the current pre-seed material is already fed into it. Yeah. So you can test questions or you can have discussions with the AI model regarding the current case study material. That is some tricks. Yeah. So here anyway, the Harmony is still busy, yes, typing out the WAC answer. Let's check it out. Right. So you guys can see here, WAC is the weighted average cost of capital. The basic definition of WAC is given here, weighted by their respective proportions in the company's capital structure. Yeah, the proportion of their ownership. Now, the formula for WAC looks a little sketchy, but yeah, that is the right formula, right? If you guys notice, it's KD into 1 minus T, yeah, multiplied by the value of debt divided by the value of equity plus value of debt plus KE into value of equity divided by value of equity plus value of debt. And yes, all of that is explained there. And what is the ideal blend? That was my second part of the question that required some thinking. So the optimal capital structure, depending on what theory we're talking about, right? For example, in the traditional theory, it says that there is no optimal capital. I mean, there is an optimal point, but this optimal point has to be found through trial and error. There is no way to simply calculate the optimal capital structure. And the answer here also seems more or less on the lines of that. And this is the truth, actually. Yeah. So there are, yes, the ideal blend balances the tax benefits of debt with the increased financial risk it brings. Absolutely. So the balance would vary by your company, industry, and market conditions. Because if you're already in a risky business, maybe you don't want to bring in more financial risk. A simple thought. Yeah. So things like this, yes, the AI is very capable of answering. So if you have any doubts, you don't have to wait for your tutors. Quite useful when you're learning. Especially, I have a lot of students who learn on their commutes. Right, they'll be reading some PDF on their phones. Even me, yeah, I do this. Well, I actually went through these slides just like that on my commute. I was going through the slides. Right. So when you guys are doing something like that, AI, like how many AI can help you out. So this is something that is available to our premium subscription holders. And is it comparable to other AI models? Yes, more or less, sure. But yeah, this is more channeled towards your CIMA learning, in this case, ACCA learning, right? So there is the benefit of that. Yeah. Whereas something like the Gemini model or your Chat GPT does not have as much focus. So this is prepared to answer questions on the CIMA lines, the ACCA lines. So that is the biggest advantage it brings to the table. You could call it your new study buddy. Yeah. And for me, it's my new yes teaching buddy. Right. I ask all my questions to it, and it helps me on that. Right. It's always good to brush up something I may know, something that I would rather Google nowadays. I use Harmony to do it. Yeah. So that's something you guys could also try out. Right. A lot to explore with these premium subscription. You guys get more access. I mean, you guys get access into the case study and the analysis and all of that. A lot of stuff, the mock too, right? So that's something interesting that you guys can check out. Something quite value adding to check out, right? And on that note, yes, let's get back to, you guys can once again see my slideshow. Yeah. Uh, this was, yes, question and answer session. Yeah. Thank you for joining that today, right? And I was your speaker, Arvind Suryadev, once again. Thank you, guys. Catch you in the next one. You guys have a great one. If you have any questions, we are open for Q and A right now. So for the next 5 minutes, I'll be available. Yeah, I don't see any questions on chat. Please feel free to post any questions you may have regarding your CIMA journey or anything that I could possibly help you with. All right, guys, I don't see any questions on the Q&A. So I'm assuming you guys don't have any questions and you're all clear on what we talked about. So on that note, I think we can call it a wrap. Yeah. So thank you once again for attending the session. I hope it added some value to your studies. Thank you and bye bye.